All right. All right. I'll see you shortly.
All right, so I think we are live now.
Can you hear me, Metal?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. My housemate just came home, so hold on 1 second. I'm just going to go close my door. Okay. So, if you guys in the chat can just say one or whatever, just to let us know that we are actually live now, that would be helpful.
Alrighty, just one testing.
Okay, cool. So today here we are for our second episode of Talking Gran Turismo. I've got in the chat with me Merlin, aka Gav, or I guess Gav, aka TPGN Merlin, and also James, GTP Greatness. So yeah, say hi, guys.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Can
Can you hear me?
Just as saying that there's a lot of feedback, so just hold on 1 second. I'm just going to unmute my stream and just check.
Hear me?
Just as saying that there's a lot of feedback, so just hold on 1 second. I'm just going to unmute my stream. No, just there's no feedback coming through on the stream. I think maybe it's because you are in the Discord chat as well, so you're hearing it on both the stream and on the Discord chat. So you might want to just jump out of the Discord voice call if you're not going to join in with the discussion. Like if you're not going to unmute
Can you
yourself.
hear me, Meta?
Yes, we can hear you, Melon.
No, that's right. No, because I just hit some other button and I just thought I might have just taken myself off.
Yeah, no problems. All right, so I think Justice figured that out. So we'll get started here. So first of all, yeah, I just want to introduce James. For those of you who don't know, GTP Greatness, he's kind of second split on the verge of getting into top split driver from Australia. So yeah, say hi, James.
Yeah, everyone, good to be joining you.
And actually, James was just he streams as well, so we'll post his link in the chat a little bit later, so you guys can all check him out. So he usually just does nations, and actually today he was just doing the daily race C for Watkins Glen because seems to be quite on the pace for it. So just so that we can all kind of get to know you, James, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, like what got you into sim racing, and did you just start off with Gran Turismo, or have you played anything else in the past?
Well, I mean, I've always been a fan of motor racing and video games and all that, so I guess sim racing was just the natural thing to get into. I suppose I have played a bunch of different racing games over the years. I was on Xbox doing Forza for a while, but Gran Turismo Sport was when I first started taking it like relatively seriously, actually practicing and all that.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just really enjoy the whole competitive side of it, the esports and all that.
So when I
Yeah,
joked
kinda-
before that we need to send you back to Forza, it would have actually been kind of coming home for you. And the reason I
It
made
would
that
be,
joke
yeah.
is because James actually was one of the first. I guess he was the only one to come up with the pit lane cut for the Super Formulas for the Toyota GR Cup. So
Yeah, that was a couple of months ago where I just drive straight through the pit lane. Pretty useless. I only gained a tenth of a second, but it's a glitch. It was fun to do. So
yeah, hey, a tenth of a second is a good gain. I mean, I used it myself for qualifying. I didn't want to use it in the race just because the potential for calamity was there. In one of the test
Absolutely.
races that I did, the very first thing I did was I went to do the pit lane cut and smashed straight into Chopaghetti as we were exiting Radion. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to use that for the race.
Yeah, definitely not.
But you're also saying this is actually going to be useful for you guys. And hey, Vision, what's up? You might actually be interested in this as well, Vision. So with the release of 1.17, everybody kind of knows now about the engine roulette glitch, where you can keep on going in and out of the driving mission, not the driving missions, the cafe books, right? And collecting new tickets. But as we were talking earlier before, you said there's actually a quicker way to do it. Did you just want to shed some light on that?
Yeah, of course. So first thing, just go straight into the cafe, and then let me get it up on my screen. So yeah, straight into the cafe,
Yeah, so unfortunately I can't show people
Oh yeah,
because
that's
I
all
don't
good.
have
So
all of them.
yes, so into the cafe and then my collection and then extra menus. Then you click on the Toyota 86 one. Just immediately back out like as soon as the dialogue. Yeah, so you don't have the extra menus there.
Yeah, but that would be here after
Yeah,
these ones.
it'd be down the bottom
Oh, okay, yep.
in extra menus. Yeah, in a different tab. You click on that. Click on the Toyota 86 one. Wait for the first line of dialogue to pop up, and then back out of it. You might have to go into your settings and make it like cancel dialogue, turn that on or something. Um, yeah, back out of it, go and claim your ticket, and then go back into the cafe. Do the same one for the rotary engine menu book. That'll get you the engine ticket. And then once you've done that, you can just go back and forth between the two, like claiming the ticket immediately after you get it. And that means you don't have to reboot the game or anything. You can just do it really quickly.
Yeah, so you just kind of oscillate between the two different ones and can just keep on collecting new tickets rather than having to restart your GT7, right?
Exactly, yeah. It makes the process much quicker.
Well, there you go, guys. So in case you didn't know, that might help you cheaters out there to collect your roulette tickets a little bit faster. Personally, as you see, I haven't even finished the single player stuff, so for me that isn't too useful. But actually, I do have a roulette ticket, so before we get started, we're talking about nations. Let me just spin this roulette ticket as we wait for a few more people to get into the live chat. And Sheena is actually joining us, so hi Sheena, thanks for dropping by as always.
How many stars is your ticket, huh?
I think this is a 4-star, so I got this for my practicing last night of Suzuka.
So you'll no doubt get $10,000.
Yeah, what is this? Yeah, that's like a 10,000 credit one, right?
Yeah.
Bang! There you go.
There you go.
There we go, baby.
I'm pretty sure someone actually looked into the code of GT7 and found the odds for each individual one. And yeah, the 10,000 is extremely common. It's like 1% chance of getting an engine or something really good.
Yeah, I mean, all the people who are complaining about the roulette tickets, like, have you ever been to a casino and played real roulette? You win more on this one than you do in real life, trust me.
True that. You're not losing money.
No, actually, I compared yesterday because I was actually DR grinding yesterday on Spa because I had a pretty good time, and so I ended up collecting 3 wins and 2 runners up, and I was like, all right, this is like blackjack. Like, you just have to quit while you're ahead. I think I'd gained maybe about 500 DR. That's all. It was like pretty terrible, and I knew 1 screen freeze, 1 disconnect, 1 overzealous Supra on the first lap, and I could just like lose 3,000 DR. So it wasn't worth continuing.
Definitely, yeah. It's a big risk. You can lose so much just from one bad race.
Anyway, we also have Merlin on the line with us, Gav. So if you want to just tell us a little bit maybe about yourself, because I mean many people don't know that you actually have a history kind of in real racing. So if you want to just talk about that while I set up the Nations replay.
No worries. I started out as a teenager in motocross, junior motocross. Did that until I was just over 18. And then in early 20s, I started racing go-karts. But in Adelaide, the
great city, by the way. Shout out Adelaide. Shout out 5,000.
In South Australia, in total, actually, the probably the more popular go-karting is actually on dirt tracks as opposed to bitumen.
That's because we can't really afford roads over here.
No, that's it. Well, most of them are still dirt. So, yes, I did that for about 3 years or something, and then I ended up quitting that because my daughter come along, so I had to spend money elsewhere. So that's my background in racing side of things. But it didn't do too bad. I was a big COD fan, Black Ops fan, and that's what all I used to play until I hit the big 5-0, and my wife decided to buy me a sim setup and wheel and pedals and a PS4 and about 3 different games.
Oh, nice.
That was in 2018. So for the first year, I hardly even used it. But what I did is I started doing Formula One. I was trying to do a season of Formula One, got shitty with that, so I see what this GT Sport thing's like. So I threw that in there, and I was just doing your normal single player stuff for months and months and months
Hmm.
until she pops up and she goes, "No, you can race people online with that game." So
So she wanted you to
lots of
basically
credit.
she wanted you to find some friends.
Yeah. Speaking of friends, the first friend I got on GT Sport was a guy called Deathwish Cartel. He's now known as OGR TLR Race Tech. Good old Rob.
Oh,
Very
really?
first
Wow.
person.
I didn't know
Yep,
that.
yep, first person I made friends with.
Hmm.
And we had this little group which was like Stormy and Johnny Caro, Rob, me, Gaza, and a guy called Mick and Shano. And after a little bit of racing together and having a bit of fun, we decided to form a group called OGR.
Yeah, and
Sort of
so a lot of I think maybe there's quite a few people who might be watching who don't actually know that OGR it means old guys racing, right? And you're all pretty old codgers, right?
older guys. Yeah, we were older guys. Yeah, so
Mm.
come up that we're like, what should we call ourselves? So we're a bunch of old guys racing. So it's just all
That made sense. And how did it come about that you ended up like kind of leaving OGR and ending up with I guess starting Top Gun?
from there, when we first set it up, I actually didn't change it. So I was running an account called Kicking Your Ass 1968, and that got suspended because I was a bit naughty and sent someone a lovely message. And so I set up a second account
Hmm.
and joined OGR with that one. And so I had the two, met another couple of guys called Balos and can't remember what his racing name was back then, but Derek, and this little turd called Yes, This Is Jester.
Well, Jess is
Old
actually
racing. So
in the chat right now and is saying that you're still OGR, old Gav Racing.
yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So I got to know those guys as well, convinced them to join OGR, and then while we're part of a bigger expanding OGR, we sort of the four of us worked out that we were the only four that were into the FIA stuff.
Hmm.
So we decided got four of us were chatting one time and decided to form our own team, which was the Top Gun team.
Okay.
And
So Top
the
Gun kind of
intention was to,
yeah, go ahead.
hey,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, the intention was that the four of us would sort of we'd race FIA stuff at Top Gun, probably make a second account and race OGR. But I mean, the other three just left OGR and just wanted to keep the one account. I still stayed with OGR, and then by me being a member of two teams, there's sort of a little bit of angst between some members of OGR. So
Hmm.
yeah, stick it up your ass and join CST BFO, and then back to OGR later on. I mean, it'll just blow over. It's just as so.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's pretty good now with each other between OGR
For
and
sure.
TPGN and everything. But anyway, so let's move on now to nations rather than dwelling too much on us second split scrubs. So
Thanks for that.
no problem. So round 5 of Nations Cup we just had on Friday night, and boy, it was an absolute beauty. Just a really intense fight between Sidawg and Conzio, and actually Sidawg and Conzio are the two drivers. So we've got the ratings up on screen right now, the rankings for this season. And so Andrew, as everyone already knows, is already pre-qualified for the World Series Showdown, which will be held in Salzburg in Austria next month, actually. It's only a few weeks away, I believe. So kind of we can disregard him from the rankings. He's kind of just there, I guess, boosting up the points for everyone and maybe helping out Twitchy where he can.
How many qualify though?
What's that?
How many actually qualify?
So 2 will qualify, and so 1 spot is pretty much guaranteed that Twitchy's going to take that one up. But the second slot is an absolute, completely crazy close race between Sidawg and Conzio. And so Conzio has been up there sitting as the qualified person up until this round. So Sidawg has managed to steal it away. And I think there is a little bit of contention here that I think most people actually, like from the top split community, are rooting for Sidawg to get in. And I think maybe Conzio is a little bit more of an outsider. So if we load up the replay actually from that race, I just want to highlight a few things because we got quite a heated battle towards the end of that race, and I think it would be cool to kind of show it, and we can get your guys' thoughts. But while I load that up, what did you guys think of that round with the comfort soft tires in the Group Bs? It ended up being more entertaining than what I thought. I thought we were just going to be all over the place, but it seemed like actually a pretty fun combo. What did you guys think?
Absolutely, yeah. It was a bit painful at first trying to learn the car, no grip whatsoever. But then once I did start learning it, getting into a bit of a rhythm, like you said, it was a really good fun race. Had quite a few good battles. I found it quite difficult to pass anyone, but it was definitely a good race.
I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it, Gav? Yeah, well, hold that
Yeah.
thought because passing someone is exactly what we're going to see here. Actually, we'll take a look at the start first. So my good friend FaZe Titor, he has decided, I mean, you might have remembered FaZe from your Black Ops days, Gav. So he's just decided to go for, I don't know if you remember the badge
Why, John? Why?
first blood, so getting the first kill of the round. So we'll just watch as Tita comes in here into the first corner. So he just ends up going into Tezza, who goes into Guy, who goes into Hole. So it was just, a complete mess. And Tita ends up getting himself a 2-second penalty for it, probably deservedly so.
Definitely.
But then we really got kind of a breakaway at the front here. So Sidawg and Conzio were starting on the front row. And they really just ended up getting away from everyone. If we kind of skip ahead up to about lap 5, you can see just the huge gap that they've already pulled on Andrew. And Conzio and Sidawg here are now battling pretty hard. And I think we're going to see a move here from Conzio attempted at the top of the hill, which was maybe one of the only kind of passing places. You just had to be really aggressive and hope that someone got offline. Actually, it's not this lap, it must be on the next lap. Let me just go up to the next lap here. Yeah, so we see Conzio here. He gets a better run out of the first turn. So Sidawg moves to the inside line to try and defend. And Conzio is going to try and hang it around the outside here. And he ends up kind of bumping into the side of Sidawg and losing a lot of time. And so now this is going to let Andrew get a little bit closer here. But things really didn't kick off until a little bit later in the race. So we'll skip up ahead here to lap 11, where I think Conzio is going to go for a little move again. You see that he just gets a little bit of daylight there, and he goes for the inside against Sidawg. So now they're running side by side as we come down the hill. And you'll see that Andrew is just able to get a very clean run, and now he's right on the back and going to join this battle. And these last few laps just get pretty intense. And so we're just checking in the chat. So Vision said he didn't enjoy it. It was a stupid track car combo. I don't know, Vision. I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was, a pretty fun race. Just very, very difficult to pass because it really was like one in a line. But as we're going to see here in these last couple of laps between these three, they definitely got kind of ambitious with their moves.
Definitely, you need to be really pushy to have any sort of a chance. You need to be very aggressive.
Yeah, you see there, Conzio, he's just hoping that door will open up against Sidawg. And you have to remember that there's a trip to Austria on the line here. These are actual real stakes. This isn't, you pushed me off the track and I didn't get to win my daily race B. This is like, some real stakes here between these guys.
Absolutely. The amount of practice they must be putting in at this point with a trip to Austria on the line must be immense.
Seriously though, with that sort of, where's Andrew's sense of drama? Why is he running in on this? He should just be hanging back, holding the rest of the field back, playing rear gunner, let the two of them go.
But he's already qualified. He's got nothing to gain, in my opinion.
I'm only joking.
But yeah.
So we're going to see here that
Andrew,
Andrew does, sorry to cut you guys off, Andrew does manage to get the better run out of first corner here, and he gets a little bump there from behind from Conzio, and now this is going to allow Sidawg to just get away from them. And so now Conzio, he's ran a little bit wide there, and let me just, I'll just check my notes. So, so we're coming, coming into lap 14 now. And Gav, if you don't mind, could you just try and either talk a little bit louder or turn up the volume for your microphone, because you're a little bit hard to hear. But as you can see here, as we come into turn 1, Conzio is just going to go for quite an aggressive move here. He gets a little bit sideways, and then he just plows into the side of Andrew there. And this is usually where you'd want to redress. And look, all this fighting, now Ranger has got himself into the mix. But Conzio goes past, he doesn't redress the move. And now Andrew is just going to be seeing red. And Zebi comes in with the comment in the chat saying Andrew wants Sidawg to win, and I think this is a little bit of the issue. I'm not sure if there's any bad blood between like Distinct and Conzio or anything like that, but yeah, I have heard the scuttlebutt is that these guys do want Sidawg there rather than Conzio. And so now Andrew is going to go for the inside move here on the banking, and yeah, he pushes Conzio aside and gets through. Again, that's a move you probably should redress usually, but Conzio did the same thing to Andrew at turn 1, so no redress from Andrew there. And now is Conzio going to go for the lunge here? No, he's a little bit too far back, so probably thinking a little bit better of it. And now Ranger is going to be in the battle here for this last lap. But unfortunately, yeah, Ranger just goes wide there, does not get the momentum coming out of turn 1. So we'll go back up to Conzio, see if he can get close enough to Andrew here. See that his assist there, flashing down in the bottom corner. Not able to do it. And then he takes a little bit too much of a tighter line, and Ranger just there sneaks past him.
Just flip the wall on the inside.
Jokin says, I wish I was top split, and then thumbs down. And Zebi says, kind of funny how you're dramatizing what could have just been a regular race for these guys. Nah, this isn't the usual racing that these guys are doing. This is much more elbows out than usual.
Absolutely. And I mean, when you think about the stakes that are on the line, it makes sense that they're pushing as hard as they are.
Yeah, so to kind of recap, so Sidawg ended up getting the win, which puts him up into the qualifier spot. Andrew in 2nd place, Ranger 3rd. Still an outside chance to qualify, actually. Conzio in 4th. We have Twitchy in 5th, Warrior 6th, quiet race for him. Holland 7th after qualifying a little bit higher up. He just never really recovered from turn 1. And Tezza was in 8th place. So yeah, I really did think that was quite an entertaining race. As for myself, I didn't do too well in this combo. I just didn't really have the pace. This isn't my type of car. So checking in on the chat, so Arnie says, hi guys, great idea peeps, this. Yeah, I agree, Arnie. I think it's a lot of fun to be able to discuss this stuff. Zebi says, didn't you say it was 2 people who qualify? If so, isn't that going to be Twitchy? Yes, so there will be 2 people who qualify, and I'll bring up the standings again just so everyone can see.
McEwen's already got a guaranteed spot, right?
What's that, James?
McEwen's already got a guaranteed spot.
Yes, McEwen is the other. So both Andrew and McEwen are already qualified because they were in the World Series final last year. And so we have 2 other slots who will qualify for the World Series Showdown. And so, yeah, currently Twitchy on 1,019 points. And then a further 25 behind is Sidawg. So actually, it's not outside the realms of possibility that Sidawg could overtake Twitchy. Then another 13 points back is Conzio. Maybe it's a little bit ambitious that he could overtake Twitchy. And so what's actually interesting here is I wonder, will Andrew and Twitchy do the final round of the season? Because if they're not there, the points that are going to be on offer are going to be a lot lower, given that they're probably the 2 highest DR drivers in Australia. What do you guys think of that? Do you reckon that's a possibility?
Possibility. It also makes it a little bit easier for the other guys to win, though, too. So.
Yeah, but in that case, if they did do that, then I mean, Conzio needs to gain 13 points on Sidawg, so he needs a finish of what would that be? 328 points to tie level with Sidawg, 329 to win.
Mm-hmm.
If Andrew and Twitchy don't show up, I feel like that's still a possibility.
328 for a win without Andrew and Twitchy there. I think it's right on the edge.
It's right on the edge for sure. It really depends. Like if with Mint Matt has been practicing, so I feel like Mint Matt might show up.
Mm-hmm.
Depends if old mate Dan decides he's going to continue racing in the last round as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know with Hull.
Yeah, it's going to take all of the other quick guys to show up to even have a chance of like a 329 point win.
Yeah, I did notice on Yogurt's stream on Saturday night for Manu, he said that he was going to be grinding dailies this week to get his DR up because Ranger actually is still hoping to qualify. And so Ranger down here, he is how many points is he behind Sidawg at the moment? He's 60 points behind. It's very unlikely, I think, that Ranger could qualify. I mean, never say never, obviously. Maybe it's a case of he just wants to at least maybe get ahead of Conzio in case Sidawg or Twitchy, get COVID and can't go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think personally I think Andrew and Twitchy will do the race. Maybe Twitchy won't. But Andrew, I think he just wants to win everything.
Yeah. I mean, he's been showing up all season. So why would he miss the last race? I mean, like he has no reason to show up, but he keeps on showing up anyway because he just wants the race. So I feel like realistically he'd show up for the last one.
Okay, in the chat we just got a good message from Joken, which I think is actually, everything we've been talking about so far is quite trivial. The real talking point in Gran Turismo right now is the horn button.
Absolutely.
That's
the critical issue.
We now have a horn in Gran Turismo, and you didn't hear it in that first race that I showed the replay of, but apparently in second split, people were just blaring the horn, and I know in EMEA, they were just blaring the horn all fucking race, and...
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
At least we had a bit more decency over here. We only blared the horn on the starting grid. and like as we crossed the finish line, that was it.
Yeah, it's absolutely infuriating to me. I can't believe that anyone would want that. And so actually we'll use that as a segue to actually go into the details for the 1.17 update rather than doing Manu for now. So just 1 second on the stream, I will switch over to my...
If your old mate who's in charge of this game ever has a look at your stream, now that we've got the horn, can you actually add a few little varieties to it, like the Dukes of Hazzard one?
How does that go,
Yeah,
Gav?
copy of Forza and have all the novelty horns. I mean, Forza, you could have the Windows XP shutdown as your horn. I don't know why you'd want to, but you could.
But you could have the big Aruga one, as you go over the line.
Yeah.
I would like to see...
It is a pissy little horn, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I would like to see a horn for you, Gav, which is just like Shrek quotes, because everyone calls you the ogre.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so here we have the details for 1.17. It came out on the weekend, and so I guess the biggest thing was actually the release of maybe the Suzuki V6 Escudo Pikes Peak, a very classic car from Gran Turismo. We also got the Suzuki Vision Gran Turismo Group 3 version, and of course Watkins Glen, which will be the race that we're doing this Friday. So out of these things...
1930s Ford Roadster.
Sorry, what's that? Oh, sorry, and the 1932 Ford Roadster. Yeah, you can tell that me, not really a single player guy, not a road car guy. I just didn't really even care about that. I just go straight for the more important stuff that's important for me. I mean,
funny thing with that car is that in the trailer they said 1932 Ford Roadster, 1964. I don't know. Why
maybe it got like an update in 1964.
Well, in the details in the car, because I looked at the car's description, it's actually a hot rodded version with a Chevy motor. So maybe that's when it was modified, 1960s.
Oh, okay.
Not entirely sure, but there you go. Fun fact, a little bit of trivia.
Best thing to come out of it was definitely Watkins Glen. I mean, the rest
Absolutely.
I mean, the old Roadster would be a bit of fun to drive around on some lobbies and stuff like that, but the other cars...
like
are
take
we
it or leave
really
it.
going to use them? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Suzuki having a Group 3 car, though, that's interesting for manufacturers particularly.
Yeah, I'll actually show something in regards to that. So if we come over to the sport mode and we go to the Manufacturer's Cup ride, and so you can come over here and you can change it to be... So unfortunately, in the American region, I'll just change over to Australia.
Hang on.
Gran Turismo website is so terrible. Sport mode.
I suppose they had to add a Group 3 car, didn't they? Because they had the Suzuki Swift Group 4.
Yes, they had the Group 4. So if you come here to manufacturers rankings, right, you can change which manufacturer that you want to see the rankings for, right? So AMG, Andrew Lee leading. Let's go McLaren, for example. This is the one I'm with. So there I'm sitting in 4th place currently. But people will, oh, okay, now this is interesting. This is interesting. So, live radio here, live TV. Suzuki was
Live
on this
radio.
list.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Suzuki was on this list last week. Thanks to the sound effects. Maybe that's your new horn sound. So Suzuki was on this list last week. It is now not on the list anymore. That's interesting.
So someone must have realized it at the PD, and taken it off the list. They didn't want to spoil it, even though we already know.
I thought with it being there on the list that it would mean that. So in the rules for the Manufacturers Series, or Manufacturers Cup as it's now called, you're supposed to the manufacturer you sign with for Season 1 is the manufacturer you have to use for Season 2. Now, in the past, when we had the Mazda RX Vision released, they gave everyone the option to change their manufacturer mid-season. And so if you wanted to change, you could get rid of all your points for the rounds that you'd already done and change manufacturer. Obviously, that was an exhibition season, so maybe, the rules were a little bit more flexible. And also, the points were carrying over from Season 1 to Season 2 that time as well. Now, the points from Season 1 will not carry over to Season 2. It's completely wiped off the board, and yet we're supposed to stay with the same manufacturer. So I do wonder, will we be allowed to change manufacturers for Season 2 because now that the Suzuki Group 3 is here? And will that mean we can only change to Suzuki, or will it just be free choice and anyone can change?
I'm not entirely sure on that, but I think surely there'll be some way of people at least switching over to Suzuki, because otherwise, what would the point be of introducing the Group 3 Suzuki?
Yeah, I mean, for it to come in mid-season, you'd think they would have just held out until the end of the year if they weren't going to give the option to change.
Exactly.
Sorry, 1 second. I just need to open up something on my computer for a second.
Hi, Paul. Thanks, mate. We're sort of talking Gran Turismo here.
Yeah, talking Gran Turismo. Yeah, it's just I want to get my comments up on my laptop next to me. Just makes it a little bit easier while I've got these details
from
on my
Arnie
screen.
here, saying there are 80 more cars coming according to data miners, including Lotus race cars. That would be interested to find out more about that, because I know people have been data mining. But I haven't seen that myself. Lotus coming to GT7 would be really interesting, because I remember they were in the GT Sport Visa, if I remember correctly, or made trailers or something. But then licensing issues meant that they weren't in GT Sport, even though they're all modeled and everything. So it would be interesting if Lotus did eventually come back.
Yeah, I mean, it would be good to see like a few more. I mean, it would be good to see a what is it, the Bugatti Veyron, right? So we have the Group 4 Bugatti Veyron, but we don't have a Group 3. So it'd be interesting to see Bugatti added as well, and even maybe Bentley too. I know Bentley is a popular choice on ACC. I mean, you yourself was running a fake Bentley livery on your Genesis X.
Exactly.
But yeah, so Watkins Glen. Obviously, you're a big fan of that track because you have an absolutely incredibly rapid time for your Nations Cup qualifier.
Yeah, no, absolutely delighted that they've added it back in. Was one of my favorite tracks when I was playing Forza, and now in GT. So very happy about that.
It's such a confusing track for me. Like the last sector is where I'm really struggling. Like especially the last corner, because it seems like a corner where you should just be able to kind of drop a gear, turn in, get hooked into the camber, like the banking of the turn, and just really power through there. But it seems like no matter what I do, I just end up understeering.
Yeah, for me it's a corner that you have to shift down to third. Somehow just helps the car turn in a bit more. Make sure I'm not going too fast. Because yeah, if you go just a touch too much speed in there, you will just oversteer straight into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So just for punters out there, what is your qualifying time?
41.7 at the moment. And for context, Sidawg has got a 41.0, Twitchy's got a 41.0, Andrew's got a 41.4, I think.
Oh, actually, I can bring that up. Just one
Yeah.
second. There we go. So I really need a holder for my microphone. It's like kind of having to tuck it under my arm. So yeah,
Could be
so
worth getting a lapel mic or something.
yeah. I mean, I do have an arm for this, but I just haven't been bothered to set it up. I mean, I don't really
Fair.
have anywhere good to attach it. So if we go to practice time ranking, so that's my friend's ranking. It's really annoying how you cannot have this sorted by region anymore.
Yeah.
So
I
I
do
also don't
like-
like I don't like the way the top 10's now complete, like worldwide.
worldwide, yeah, it makes it a lot harder to get like a good replay to follow, like a good ghost to follow, because like it tends to work out that all the ghosts are like a second and a half quicker than where you can usually go.
Yeah.
So it looks like, yeah, Twitchy now has the quickest time for anyone in Australia, and Sidawg pretty much matching him, so both on 41.0s. So I mean, all the more impressive that you were able to pretty much match Sidawg for pace in the race. So you've really got to be, I guess, thinking that you're going to be on for a good result this weekend.
Definitely, yeah. I feel like it could be one of my best races that I've ever had. It's not often that I get this sort of pace, so yeah. Really.
72nd in the
Really
world.
You're very fast in the nations, though. The one that we were discussing before.
The
Group B.
Group B's, yeah.
Yep.
The Group
Yeah.
B's. Yeah.
Yeah, last week I had decent pace there. I kind of wish I could have run earlier this season, because as it is, I won't have a great final result in the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair enough, but I mean, next season, I guess, is the one where you can really concentrate because you'll be getting your wheel back.
Exactly, yeah. Back on the wheel, hopefully a little bit quicker. Tire wear won't be an issue, so we'll see where I end up.
So I'll just check in with the chat here. So what have we got? So Arnie says I need to get an assistant. Yeah, that would be nice. Maybe a cute young German girl, eh, Arnie?
That's what you're going to say, Guy, there for a second. Cute young German guy.
Oh, Gav,
Gonna
you're always looking for cute young guys, aren't you?
I know lots of cute young German guys, yes.
Ja.
Yeah.
Es ist
Das
gut.
ist gut.
Es ist gut. Arnie says, "Damn right, Bob. I want brake balance back too." Now that would be nice. So
Yep.
it's annoying that we still do not like. Why do we get a horn, but we don't get brake balance? It makes no sense.
I mean, the confusing thing is brake balance is in the circuit experiences as well. So if they can have it in the circuit experience, why can't they just have it in other races?
Yeah, well, the reason it's in the circuit experiences is because obviously, like, so why it disappears is when you have tuning prohibited on, that's when the brake balance goes away, because for whatever reason, they've just have any setting which is on the setting sheet is tied to whether tuning is prohibited or not. And so when it's turned on, no brake balance. I mean, in GT Sport, it was also on the setting sheet, but they seem to have it separated. But for this one, we don't. And I don't know. The game has been out over 3 months, and we still don't have it.
It can't be that complicated for them, surely. Like, I mean, traction control was on the setting sheet in GT Sport, but they took it off the setting sheet so that you could adjust traction control mid-race. Surely it'd be a similar thing. Take brake balance off the setting sheet. Anything that you're supposed to be able to change mid-race, don't have it on the setting sheet. Have it somewhere else.
It's pretty ridiculous. So Zebi asks, how does Manu work? Is there a World Cup or something? So we'll go into Manufacturers Series now, and we'll just give a quick explanation of it. So basically, the way Manufacturer Series work is at the beginning of the season, you have to choose from one of the, I think it's 28 manufacturers that are now in the game, 29 maybe, and you'll get a Group 3 and a Group 4 car given to you. And so the rounds alternate between Group 3 and Group 4. And you have to use one of those manufacturer cars for the entire season. So for example, I'm signed with McLaren, so every race in the Manufacturers Cup season, I have to use McLaren. Gav, he signed with Nissan, regrettably, along with Gallo.
Honda.
Yeah, sorry. With Honda, yeah, NSX. That's where the N came from. Gav signed with Honda, and he has to use Honda for the rest of the season. Hopefully, he'll get to change for season 2 because the Honda, along with pretty much every MR in the game, is a piece of shit.
I mean, the Honda made Gallo quit. It's that bad.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And
that's
so
why manufacturing scores are around the 130 marks.
yeah, it's pretty horrible, the MRs. And yeah, so basically what will happen is the top 12 qualifying manufacturers will get to go through to the World Series final. And so the top scoring driver from each of the 3 regions, so the 3 regions are North and South America is 1, EMEA is 2, that's Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And then Oceania is Oceania and Asia is the 3rd region. So basically we'll end up with 12 manufacturers, 3 representatives from the 3 regions, 36 drivers for the Manufacturers World Series final. Hopefully that explained it. Jokin asks, who is this Gallo guy? Is he Australia or New Zealand? Well, he's Italian, and Italy is kind of shaped like New Zealand, so we'll call him New Zealand.
We'll call
Closer
it Twitter.
What's that?
Closer to New Zealand than Australia.
I have to say, like we discussed during the week matter, or just after it happened, it actually sucks because he was the only Honda driver good enough to put up any sort of time that I would be able to get a ghost from or a replay from for Honda to actually have a look.
So now you've got no reference.
Got no reference at all.
Yeah, well, imagine that, Gav. You just have to learn how to drive the car yourself.
I know. I try, and I do an awesome job. I do a really good job for someone who's an A grade driver. But when it comes to A plus groups that I find myself in at times, it's just it's a shit fight.
Yeah. And so James, you're not doing Manufacturers Cup. Why is that? You just don't have the time to commit to two different races, or what was your choice?
That's what it is for me. I don't have the time to commit to 2 different races, and honestly, I'm not a big fan of Group 3 cars generally. Group 3 and Group 4, I generally prefer the road cars, which is why I decided to focus on nations, and just being able to just focus on 1 race a week is much more doable for me.
So Zebby says in the chat, oh wow, my chances are even slimmer. Haha, I thought it was top 6 per manufacturer. No, unfortunately, I thought it was top 2. And I was really hoping that for Nissan that Dan Holland was going to qualify, but apparently, it's only top 1. So Tezza waves in the chat. Hi Tez, thanks for joining in. I think Tezza is with BMW this season. We're just talking about Manufacturers Series. We'll go to the points rankings and just take a look through. I'll go to my friends because that's probably a little bit more interesting for everyone.
Now it's probably a good time for me to continue with my gripe with manufacturers, isn't it?
Your what, sorry?
My gripe that I have with manufacturers. We've discussed before.
What's your gripe? Oh, that it's Australia and Asia combined?
Not so much that. It's more the fact that I think it's become a very much a 1 or 2 manufacturer series. You get, say you got 500 people. You'll have 385 or 390 of them in either Subaru or Toyota. And there's just no variety in the races hardly anymore. You sort of go in, like yourself and myself, we'll go into a race of, say, 12 people, and there'll be 5 Subarus and 4 Toyotas and a couple of extras. We're the extras because we're not in those 2 manufacturers. And as I've said before, when started doing FIA in GT Sport and got right into it, you'd go into races and there would be 6, 7, 8 different manufacturers in a race. And the incentive for that was because if you could get yourself into the top 5 in Australia and New Zealand, because it was just Australia and New Zealand, if you could get yourself into the top 5 for a manufacturer, you got yourself an S rating. So, everyone sort of wants to go, yeah, I want to get to A, I want to get to A plus. Well, then the ultimate was to get an S rating, wasn't it? That was the highest rating.
Yeah.
So the incentive was to choose a manufacturer, not the same as everyone else. So I just think if they brought back the top 5 in each manufacturer gets an S rating, you're going to start spreading people out because they're going to want an S rating. Yeah, I made it to S. So they're not just going to choose, for example, Subaru. They're going to choose other things going, well, I've got a chance in this one.
Yeah, like maybe I can be the 5th best Ferrari driver, so because no one else is driving Ferrari.
Yeah,
I'd rather be get an S rating as the 5th best Ferrari driver rather than coming 223rd in Subaru.
That is actually something I've never thought about, and I think you do make a really good point. There isn't really much encouragement. Yeah, there's no reason now for people to go with something like I don't know, Audi, right? Well, I mean, you wouldn't choose Audi because the MRs are fucked. Let's use a better example.
Alfa Romeo.
I'm trying to look at this list. I'm looking at all these ones down here. I'm like, okay, Dodge Viper, right? So there's not really much advantage of going with Dodge because you might as well pick Toyota because the Supra is just a much better car, right? Whereas, before, I guess there was a lot of people who cared about that S rating and they wanted to get that. That was the thing, because let's face it, for 99.99% of us, we're not going to qualify for the World Series.
No, that's right, exactly.
It's not really for us.
I remember just jumping back to nations for a quick second. Back when I was starting out, the top 50 in Nations Cup, I know it was just Australia and New Zealand, the top 50 would get an S rating. And so my goal was always, like, in
top
2020
50.
and all that, like, okay, I want to get top 50. I came pretty close. At that time, I wasn't great, but I came pretty close. And that was, like, the incentive for me to keep improving and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think top 50 is probably a little bit like participation trophy.
Yeah, definitely.
Now I would say maybe like top 10, top 20 at a stretch.
Yeah.
Yep.
But actually, I have up on screen an interesting graphic here. So this is I don't know if you guys can see this because I think I might have only shared on Discord my remote play. But if you want to...
I've jumped over to the stream so I can see what's on your screen now.
Yeah, fair enough. So on the screen, this is from GT Engine, a really, really useful website. And he posts after a couple of days after each round, he posts a breakdown of the time trial times for that round. And you see out of 10,852 entries that we had for round 2 of the season, 2,266%, aka 21% of them was Subaru, and then the kind of another 9.3% was Toyota. So between Subaru and Toyota, that's one in 3 cars is going to be a Subaru or a Toyota this season. Like, that is kind of crazy when there is all of these manufacturers. I do think that something needs to be done to get people to use, a Dodge or a Renault or something like that a little bit more often than what's happening.
Can I just point out that at the bottom, the Megane and the 155, they don't really count because they're second cars. But the Citroen with just 0.6% of the entries, and the Citroen is the GT by Citroen, that's the only car for Citroen as a manufacturer.
Yeah,
so the fact that only 0.6 people have answered compared to a whole 20% for the WRX, that really says something.
I can give you a little preview from my Twitter as to why people might not want to choose a GT Citroen. So this was me yesterday testing out the Citroen for time trial.
It's a dog.
Quite good top speed. I mean, BRZ.
I saw that Yank dude said Z28 or whatever he is having a crack in the Citroen last week in one of the dailies.
I think because I went full screen on the video, it didn't work.
Yeah, no, it's still just showing a still of the browser.
Maybe if I play it just in here, it'll work.
No, your screen's still frozen. Although I can see the little man running in the background on the remote play.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, quality content.
Technical difficulties. You need to throw out little a little test image. Technical difficulties.
Yeah, maybe we'll work on that for next episode. So I'll just check back in with the chat now. What do we got here? So, da, 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 da. Jester, I don't think there's a problem there. Is that green line the WRX? Yes, the green line was the WRX. Let me try and get back to it. I'll type in GT engine. Of course.
While you're doing that, I just got to say, James, I've been following your Ghost while we've been talking in racing.
Mm.
Yeah, how you go through that bus stop section is ridiculous.
Yeah, you just got to throw it in there. My car literally flies through the air, all 4 wheels off the ground.
Yeah, so here's for Group 4 Jester. So yeah, 20.5% was the Subaru, 9.3% the Toyota, and then the GTR 7.5%. Actually, I'm surprised to see that the Porsche was the 4th most used car, because I really haven't seen that many Porsches. I guess maybe it's more popular down in the lower splits. And I mean, that's another thing, like...
Sorry to interrupt, Meta, but we still can't see what's on your screen. It's still that still of the
Really?
yeah. It's just it's like your browser's just completely frozen on our end.
Yeah, it's right. Okay, let me just see if I just switch it off and then switch it back on. No, it looks like it is completely frozen.
And
Okay.
Still where we were before.
Give it a couple of seconds, see if it catches up.
Oh, there we go. There we go. It's caught up. All working.
All right, cool. There we go. Yeah. So, what was I saying? Yeah, the Cayman here is the 4th most used car, but I think one thing you kind of have to realize is that as you get down to the lower splits, the diversity does become a little bit more. So actually, I would say in the top splits, these numbers aren't even representative of that. They're even higher than what you'd see here.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be interesting to see this just for like A and A plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so not a lot of feedback here from the chat in terms of things that they want to discuss. Is there anything you guys want to cover over before we start to wrap things up?
Nothing in particular.
Nothing in
Gav?
particular.
Not really, mate. I think, yeah, just all good. I just think the game's getting better. There's been a lot of stuff, and it was like even last week's thing about all the problems with the games. If they can fix all the bop situation up, I think it's just going to be a lot better. Hopefully they can get to that before the next round that counts, so that we don't have everyone in just 1 or 2 manufacturers,
Yeah, hopefully things will be sorted out for the next season. Next stage of the season.
Be interesting to see what the other 2 regions, what their figures are in the different splits as to what they're using. I mean, as well. I guess they are the same.
No, that
is this worldwide.
That was worldwide, Gav. I believe that was worldwide.
So it's pretty much all the same everywhere.
Yes.
Well, you can sort of see that anyway. Top 10, that's worldwide, and they're all in the same cars. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. So Jokin asked about pedal calibration. So yeah, another thing that was added in the 1.17 update was the ability to finally calibrate your pedals. I don't have to bother with that much because I'm on Fanatec anyway, and I can do that through my wheel settings. But I have thrown up a poll into the chat, so asking who do you think is going to qualify? So Conzio or Sidawg? What do you guys think? What's your tip?
Pretty unanimous so far. 100% for Sidawg after 7 votes.
Mm.
If he's in front now, I think he'll still hold on to it.
Yeah, he's in front, and it seems like he has good pace.
I don't know either of them. I very rarely get into the top split to come across either. I mean, I have come across them, but I don't get to race against them like you do. Have any preferences to what I think is going to represent the Australia region better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's certainly Sidawg is ahead of the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately, getting a little bit of audio quality difficulties from Gav there. I've never really had any racing with Conzio myself either. The only thing I've really had with Sidawg is a couple of times he's come up behind me in qualifying, so I keep on getting in his way in qualifying. I think just in the future he needs to make sure that I'm more than 3 or 4 seconds ahead of him, because his qualifying pace this season has been like quite rapid actually. But then again, so is Conzio. I mean, to be honest, I'm gonna go as I always do. I'm gonna go against the grain, and I'm gonna tip Conzio to get in. He's been pretty much incredible this season. Other than this most previous race at Alsace, Conzio I think has performed better than Sidawg. So it would kind of be a shame to see Conzio miss out on it after putting in such a great performance.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I haven't had a lot of racing against either of them myself.
Mhm.
But I would like to see Conzio get in, just as a bit of a comeback. He has been doing well all season, and he did give it absolutely everything in the Alsace race. So yeah, I'd like to see Conzio get in.
Yep, fair enough. All right, guys. So for everyone in the chat, thanks for coming in and watching. If you have any questions or anything that you want to contribute now, we can quickly cover that. So Arnie says another new thing in the 1.17 update is the camera in replay, that the right stick can be moved around. So that's true. And actually, it's quite disorientating, because I think a lot of us used to use the right stick to look backwards in replays, and now when you press backwards, the camera kind of like rotates around to look backwards rather than just like immediately snapping to it. So that's something that was a little bit strange for me. Vision says he does like this. He says the UI update with the stats in the sport up the top. Actually, that's another thing that they did add. Let me see if I can bring that up on screen. Unfortunately, I think there we go. Move my.
While you're doing that, Matt, another thing I did notice when talking about cameras is quite often, like when sitting in pits, and I was doing it with the Honda at Daytona, because I was so slow, I was just sort of want to go, right, I want to go out last and I want to get in this way.
Mm-hmm.
You used to be able to sort of rotate around in pits and see behind you if people behind you were leaving or whatever. You can't do that now.
Oh, when you're in the
Like-
pits, you mean?
In the pitch, yeah, I couldn't look back to the cars behind me to see if they'd already left or if they were leaving.
Yeah, I
And
think
I'm pretty
you're
sure you
right.
used to be able to do that in GT Sport.
Actually, that was one of the things with GT7 I absolutely like. I've gotten used to it now, but I absolutely hated it the first like week with the game, was how it sticks you in chase cam view as you're driving out the pits.
Yeah.
So Arnie asks, is that every Monday or what? I'm guessing you mean about this podcast. Yes, we will be trying to do this every Monday, Monday or Tuesday, depending on, I guess, scheduling. Teza adds, Conzio uses more assists than Simon, to be fair. I agree, but to be honest, I think like everyone in top split, and probably everyone even in second split, doesn't need assists to stay on the track. It's more of about a competitive advantage, and ASM and sometimes counter steer assist, they have been actually improving the pace of the car that you're driving. And so if you're not going to use that because like of pride, well, okay, go turn off ABS as well. Like, I think to say that Conzio hasn't done as good a job because he's been using assists, I think is going against that. He's just been smart enough to use them because they're improving his pace.
I fully agree with that. If it's going to improve your pace, then why not take advantage of it?
Mm-hmm.
You may as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, it's nice to be able to say, yeah, I'm the best and I don't use any assists. But if you actually use them, then you end up faster.
What's the point in saying that? Yeah.
Yeah, well, pretty much since that round one. I mean, I know we covered this last week, but yeah, since that round one at Suzuka in the Civics, now basically every time I'm doing time trial, I'm going to do a back-to-back lap comparing without ASM and with ASM. Like I'm a driver who can keep the car on the track. I don't need ASM on to be able to keep it on the track. If it's going to make me faster, I'm going to use it. So Vision says, what's that? The Honda? Yeah, well, I can't keep the Honda on track. Jokin says, yep, well spoken meta. Arnie says, I usually have TC off, but ABS on. Yeah, I think everyone uses ABS on. Jokin says he's on weak usually, which is interesting. Yeah, not a lot of people I know that use ABS on weak.
Yes, and weak for a while back on GT Sport, and then I didn't find too much of a difference with it, to be honest. I
Mhm.
don't know if it actually gave me anything, and then eventually I switched back up to ABS normal. That's what everyone else was doing.
Yeah, I know whenever we used to have the rounds on the go-karts, everyone said to put ABS on weak or even turn it off. And to be honest, I never saw it to be any different anyway. So,
Yeah.
It did. It was different. So, yeah,
was it?
for sure.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
On the go karts, it was. Yeah,
On the
a bit
go-karts.
quicker. Yeah, without it, you're a bit quicker with the go karts. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Just the way they reacted. Well, I found it. I just found just the way they reacted was a bit different. Looked past without it on.
Yeah, sometimes these things can be like placebo though, right? So I thought that the Group 4s also got a bop change, and so I went out and drove around Suzuka in the McLaren 650S, and I was like, wow, this bop change is like unlocked pace in this car. But it was actually still the same bop from 1.15. So yeah,
It could
sometimes.
just come down to driving styles, Peter.
Well, I just
Everyone
think
doesn't feel the same.
sometimes you can like think that something's changed, and it can change the way you like approach the car. Like if you think that the car is going to drive faster, sometimes you'll go out and drive it faster. Jokin says that Panmac and Takeshi or Takeshi 007 doesn't use ABS. I've heard of Panmac, I'm not sure about Takeshi. Jokin says, yeah, it doesn't change much. Arnie says, I see GT as a sim, hence ABS is okay. TC if you need, but nothing else. Well, yeah, I believe in ACC that everyone uses traction control in ACC because they use traction control in like GT cars in real life. So, okay, I'm getting some weird feedback from someone's microphone.
I heard it as well.
But anyway, so that's the hour up. So I want to thank both Gav and James for coming on. I think you're both terrific guests. Hopefully you'll come back again. And yeah.
So who in the
Definitely.
chat stick their hand up for your thanks.
I didn't really catch any of that, Gav. Your audio has gone really shit.
Yeah. I just
Who
wanted
in the
to say,
chat's gonna follow?
oh dear.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I was just going to say thanks a lot for having me on the podcast, man. It's been a great conversation. Really enjoyed it, and hopefully back next week.
Yeah, alrighty. So thanks to guys in the chat. Anyone who's still watching, please hit that like button. Share the link to the podcast as well if you enjoyed it. Try and get the word out there. We'll get more people in, get more people watching. That's more interaction in the chat for when we're rambling on. You guys will get to chat with each other a little bit more, and I think that's good for everyone. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you again next week.
Up to the same.
Auf Wiedersehen.